Happy Friday, everyone. This is the Pleb Underground. I'm your host, Phil. This is the signal without the slop. I hope you guys are getting ready for a good weekend. I am excited to do nothing. It's going to be good times. Anyways, apparently it's still the early days for Bitcoin. That's right. The institutions are here and they think it's early. Good for them. I'll take it. What are we going to cover today, guys? We got a lot in the Hopium. We're going to take a look at Bitcoin Breakout, the Rainbow Chart, Momentum Model Update, the M2 Money Supply Hopium, JP Morgan. Is history repeating? Yeah, well, maybe not. Maybe it just rhymes. We're going to take a look at some of the thoughts behind the Bitcoin bull market ending. And BlackRock, right? BlackRock, those comments, huh? They believe it's still early for Bitcoin. Got an SBR update out of Florida. We're going to make fun of Buck Token for the fail because it's embarrassing. We're just going to make fun of it. Going to take a look at Bitchat, right? Bitchat's getting a lot of attention lately. If you haven't installed the app yet, at the very least, install it. Try it out. Anyways, we're going to take a look at that. And, of course, a little Samourai update. All right, those guys, right? While we're out here living our lives, these guys are in jail for writing code. Not right. Anyways, before we dive into all the fun stuff, you know the deal. We're going to give a shout out to the Pleb Underground sponsor, Archimedes Emporium. And we will be right back. Let's frickin' go. Pleb Underground is sponsored by Archimedes Emporium. Discover the pinnacle of precision engineering, starting with their Bitcoin logo wall clock, meticulously machined in Maine from a solid block of aerospace-grade aluminum, ensuring unparalleled durability and performance. Experience the difference of a product made without compromise. Head on over to Archimedes Emporium. All right, let's take a look. We are dead at 91,300 and change. Womp womp. I can't believe that this is considered bear market. Like, people are upset. It's fantastic. Anyways, let's see what we got here. The total lightning capacity is 5,706. Those are on the public channels, and the current block height 931,573. Brought to you by Time Chain Stats. That's right. Cold deck. It's over. We need to sell. Good morning, Johnny Midas. Good morning, Jerry. Good morning, Phil. All right. Let's keep going. Here we go.
It's only been when's its anniversary? In a couple of days, 2 years since IBIT originally launched, and we've seen it raise tens of billions of dollars. But still, many investors have still just been starting their educational journey around what is Bitcoin, how might it fit in a portfolio.
We're so early.
For many financial advisors, maybe they didn't have access to crypto before, or even weren't able to buy IBIT until it was approved on their platforms. Sure. We're starting to see a much more broader group of people that can and are interested in investing in this asset class. So we see this still being very early days for Bitcoin and Ethereum. It's a lot more about education.
Oh. And that's the end of that. It's definitely the early days for Bitcoin. Ethereum, if you wanted to be here during the early days of Ethereum, you needed to buy that shit during the ICO. You needed to be in it at that Joe Lubin meeting, right? Where he was telling you how to maximize your profits and stuff like that. So yeah, it's definitely not the early days for ETH, the shitcoin with infinite supply and ever-changing rules. Yeah, that's not happening. Anyways, let's dive into all the stories, guys. We've got a whole lot of stuff going on. That's right. That was just Jay Jacobs, and he's the one who thinks it's early for Bitcoin. You know what? I appreciate the Hopium. It's Friday. I want to have a good weekend. I'll take it. I will take it. Moving on. Here we go, guys. So for the people who thought that somehow we already had, the bull run's already happened. 126K was the top, all that stuff. Okay, fine, great. That's totally great. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm not saying you're right either. The green zone represents approximately 60% of Bitcoin's price history and reflects steady, healthy growth. The orange zone marks overbought conditions. Prices retraced from it 3 times this cycle. Okay, keep in mind, that's from the orange zone. The red zone marks bubble phases with extreme volatility and short-lived tops. Why am I explaining this to you? Why are we looking at this rainbow chart again and the power law chart? Because we didn't have any exuberance in this market, guys. There was very little exuberance. So for all of these institutions, right, that are supposedly buying Bitcoin, they've been buying Bitcoin more than any retail hodler ever could. And we've got no exuberance. Sorry, guys. This is why I don't buy that we already had the bull run or that the bull run is over. Sorry, not buying it. I think we're still going. But yeah, that's just me. Yes, exactly, Salty Crayon. ETH, the best no use case. What are you talking about? They're going to be the world computer. The world computer. Bump, bump. Yeah, exactly, Torip. Paper Bitcoin got all the exuberance. And this is why I don't believe that it's done. I don't. But again, that could be my hope. And that could also be my cope, right? Okay, there we go. We're going to get some angry Chihuahua Hopium. Where we just were was the breakout and retest. Ignore the bear tards and hodl. Indeed, angry Chihuahua. I am there with you. I am hodling and I'm even stacking a little bit. I know. It's like toothpicks on the fire, but whatever. I can't help it. Okay, let's take a look at the momentum, right? We were talking about this a couple of days ago. Sina made this model. It is where is it over here? The momentum model update. So following the recent mini pump to 94K, which we were just in, and we're still kind of sitting there at like 91.3 or 91, the Bitcoin momentum model indicated that momentum remains negative, and thus a bullish trend had not yet reliably begun. There's his momentum model. In the upper one, you can see we are all the way down, and in the red, it's not signaling a turnaround. Look, I don't know, right? I have no idea. These models, they look good. Confirmation of previous historical data points, great. But yeah, this is more confirmation to me that we never had the exuberance. And to Torip Hodl's point about the exuberance going into paper Bitcoin, I still believe that there is a whole bunch of pent-up exuberance, we'll say, right? Pent-up exuberance for Bitcoin, the actual asset, right? Not just the NGU Hopium thingy that Wall Street loves and claims is Bitcoin, right? All right, let's get into some M2 money supply Hopium, because if everything else we threw at the wall did not make you excited, guess what? M2 money supply is growing at its fastest pace since 2022, bear market bottom. This locomotive will not be derailed. Okay, so M2 money supply, all of this stuff, it all sounds great, right? But it never seems to be causation, right? It never seems to be, the M2 money supply goes up, and then immediately you see this causation where Bitcoin just goes to the moon. It's always loose. The loose affiliation. There it is, M2 money supply. And here we are, guys. I mean, take a look. Seems that the money supply has been actually kind of pumping for a little bit here. So where's our pump? I guess everybody's just getting ready. Is that it? Yes. Everybody's just getting ready. Yeah, exactly. Cold deck derivatives and the games. Let the nonsense begin. Let nonsense begin. I shouldn't even say let the nonsense begin, because it already has. Let's just, let's call it what it is. Right? It's already been nonsense. Okay, here we go. More Hopium out of Namcios or Felipe. What if history is repeating itself? Oh, the dreaded Wyckoff distribution. Oh no, he's bringing in some. I don't know if this is definitely not cope, but this is more like panic. This might even be panic and FUD. The reason why I push back on this, quite simply, is because the Wyckoff distribution indicates euphoria. We did not have. So look, you know what we did have this cycle? We got hope, we got optimism, we got belief. We barely made it to the thrill. Okay, barely made it to the thrill. Definitely did not get to euphoria, and I'm not sitting in complacency or anxiety or any of that. So I don't buy it. I don't buy that this is where we are and this is what has happened. However, I appreciate the take. Okay. Plan C. Plan C. What does he have to say? Hey, Turbo, happy Friday. And Bitcoin Shango, good morning. All right. Oh, Salty Crayon, what does he have to say? It's more entertaining watching the miners fight the node runners on who runs. I completely agree. Looking back, who would have thought that the all the core versus knots and all that stuff would just be so much more interesting, even though to a certain extent it's not really signal, but it is definitely way more interesting than what these Wall Street geniuses are doing. And then we're going to take a look at the buck token. Guys, this is so bad. Anyways, okay, back to Plan C, back to the Hopium. We're excited when the Bitcoin bull market ends. Yeah, we should probably move to Plan D by now, but Rourke, first, before we get to Plan D, let's fluff the balls. Okay, let's fluff the balls. Let's get excited. Okay, here we go. The simplistic idea that Bitcoin will follow prior cycle patterns and severity of drawdowns is intellectually bankrupt. That's right. Bunch of simpletons with your 4-year cycles. Bow to my TA prowess. I don't think the cycle is over. The business cycle is still below 50. There we go. It's the business cycle Hopium. So it's like we didn't have this massive exuberance. So now we just took a look to see like what cycles haven't peaked, and there it is. There it is, the business cycle. Still got some room to run. And of course, guys, I'm a hodler, so naturally, I'll take it. Sure, business cycle, whatever. The business cycle is still below 50. We've built unprecedented support, and I do agree with that on the way up. And the move has been healthier with sustained consolidation throughout. Maybe this is a balance taken. I'm just being a dick. All right. Retail-driven speculative parabolic pattern. The retail-driven speculative parabolic pattern. Okay, so those were the first two that we saw. And now we're seeing this institutional-driven. You notice how the institutional-driven one is just this slow, painful grind that only they can afford to accumulate in. Right? Oh, the irony. It's kind of funny. Anyways, all right, I'll take it, Plan C. Why not? Yeah, dude, the McRib, that was a total fail, right? Completely. We were supposed to get that. It was supposed to go to the moon. We got no moon out of the McRib. All we got is a crappy sandwich. Hey, what's happening, Richard? Happy Friday, dude. Okay, more fun stuff. JP Morgan says the Bitcoin ETF outflows appear to have bottomed. Okay, there we go. We've got more of the institutions telling us that we're all going to make it, right? Bottomed. The tide is turning. Sentiment is reversing. To the moon we go. I always appreciate that from JP Morgan. I think just a couple of days ago, they said something, or I think Bloomberg. I think there was a Bloomberg article that got posted that said we're going to 50K 2026. So even the institutions can't make up their minds either because nobody knows. But they don't want to tell you that because they've got all these creds and they have a business, right? So you're not going to sit there and tell somebody you don't know and then ask them to, for money so that you can invest. Of course not. You are going to guarantee them that you're going to show them interesting figures, right? You're going to show them statistics that make them feel like you know what you're talking about. It's all bullshit. All bullshit, and it's bad for you. And that's okay. I don't mind. I'm here for it. All right. Now let's get into the fifth pillar. Okay. The fifth pillar is what I refer to as the politicians that buy Bitcoin, right? They know that the government does what the government does and that the government can't see beyond its own control. However, they do understand the proposition for a censorship-resistant ledger for themselves and their families in the future. So I appreciate the fifth pillar. Congressman Byron Donalds discloses purchases of up to 100K in Bitcoin. Good move. The move stands out as his first reported Bitcoin buy and comes from a sitting member of the House Financial Services Subcommittee on Digital Assets. He looked at the numbers and he was like, I should be buying Bitcoin. We're all going broke. Donalds previously introduced a bill to protect President Donald Trump's executive order on Bitcoin. The bill would make the strategic Bitcoin reserve and U.S. digital asset stockpile a permanent part of U.S. policy, so no future president can reverse it. Okay, so look, I'm happy. I'm thrilled he's buying Bitcoin, right? Thrilled he's buying Bitcoin for himself, hoping that he's taking it in self-custody. Otherwise, he's not really hodling Bitcoin. I mean, yeah, I guess loosely. But the whole strategic Bitcoin reserve thing, it's just, they just keep repeating it. Like, they're never going to buy any Bitcoin. Just stop. Just stop with that. The government doesn't need to buy Bitcoin. They've already proved it. All they need to do is seize it. So just stop pretending. It's only the people that have shit to sell you that are going to tell you that the government's going to buy this. That's all it is. Nonsensica. Anyways, all right, let's continue, guys. Here we go. Speaking of the SBR, Florida introduces the Bitcoin Reserve Bill. Florida reviving Bitcoin Reserve Plan for 2026. The proposal revives ideas from 2025, adding an advisory committee and independent audits while granting the CFO discretion over allocations. But guys, this is a little bit different. The proposal would authorize the creation of a Florida strategic cryptocurrency reserve. But listen to the catch. To be administered by the state's chief financial officer. Under the bill, the CFO would be permitted to purchase, hold, manage, exchange, and liquidate cryptocurrencies using standards similar to those applied to public trust assets. While the legislation avoids naming specific tokens, it sets a strict eligibility rule. Oh, look at that. We heard about this already in the past. Any cryptocurrency acquired must have maintained an average market capitalization of at least 500 billion over the previous 24 months. That requirement effectively limits the reserve to Bitcoin and marks a sharp contrast with Florida's earlier attempts. Yeah, you go take a look. There's not a single stablecoin that has a $500 million market cap. Now, granted, I'm sure that they're going to catch up pretty quick. But for now, Florida will only be able to, if this passes, and if they budget it, Florida will only be able to buy Bitcoin. For now. Not bad if this passes. Anyways, we'll see. Not bad. Not bad. The part of it that is kind of middle of the road, though, right, is that, like, why not just say you can only buy Bitcoin, right? They can't. I mean, that's my opinion, right? Like that they can't say just buy Bitcoin. Now, so this way, they create this kind of they draw this line in the sand, and hey, if any of the shit coins manage to get to this point, well, then you can take a look at them. I think it was just a roundabout way of not saying Bitcoin only. Maybe that's just my hope. What do you guys think? Yeah. How long has he been holding that Bitcoin, right? The congressman. That's when he first reported it. That's a good point. Anyways. All right. Let's make fun of some stupid buck token. Let's do it. They're pleased to announce Hillary Dan of MSTR True North. So these guys were shilling MSTR, specifically this person, right? Shilling MSTR because it was, the greatest thing since sliced bread. But now all of a sudden, right? It's going to be the head of the treasury at Buck Labs. So, of course, I had to go dive into, I already did a small piece about this, right? About the fact that essentially all that's happening is that they're buying they're buying STRC, and then they're issuing you a token which is totally out of thin air, right? And then they're going to pay you for holding that token. And one of the carrots on the end of the stick is that it's calculated by the hour or the minute or whatever it is, like whatever nonsense. But I wanted to dive into this a little bit more and take a look because it is interesting, right? So everybody that's behind it is in the US. However, the Buck token is not for sale to U.S. persons and may be restricted or prohibited in certain other jurisdictions. Oh, that's a surprise. Now, this is one of my favorite parts. For the people who know my previous work of debunking shitcoins for years, I always love to go to the Rect leaderboard, right? So as soon as I saw that this shitcoin was audited by top firms, I was like, man, we need to go see who audited them. So they were audited by Cypherin, Halborn, and Spearbit. Now, this is supposed to conjure up feelings of security. You're supposed to think to yourself, look at that. They're doing the right things. They're getting independent auditors, right? I can trust them. I can trust them. So here we go. 2 of those 3 auditors, right, had audited previous projects, and you can see the project names here and the dates and how much they rugged for. Do you think it really matters? Do you think it really matters that they've got these shitcoin auditors that are auditing a token supply that is centrally issued, centrally controlled? Do you think it really matters? Like, I want you guys to think about this, right? It's a company. It's a company that bought shares or claims to be buying shares. And not only that, but you're being paid out 7% in the same shitcoin that they're issuing. Guys, this does not end well. This fucking falls apart. I'm serious. So if you're falling for this crap, it's not. You're not going to be happy. You're really not going to be happy. The carrot on the end of the stick is that they're issuing this against STRC. There is absolutely, and I saw that they have like some other auditor, right, that audits how many shares they have. That doesn't mean shit either. Okay, Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, who else? Standard & Poor's, Moody's, all kinds of these massive regulatory institutions that have tons of trust. They can't guarantee you that you're not going to get rugged. So you think these random mom and pop shops are going to be able to help anymore? Just fucking buy Bitcoin. Sorry to keep swearing, but like it's so frustrating. And the worst part is that there's quote unquote Bitcoiners that are shilling this crap. Like, you're fucking scumbags. Seriously, you're just scumbags. Anyways, good luck. To each their own, right? That's right. Bitcoin has a built-in audit every 10 minutes. Well, an average of 10 minutes. Yeah, Buck is a piece of crap. It's going to be so funny. You're going to see all these people getting wrecked. And now look, you've got these. So if these MSTR guys, right, if they MSTR North, this whole group that was organically created to shill you garbage shares, now all of a sudden this guy's pivoting over to this shitcoin. Why? Didn't he make enough money? They're all just fucking rent seeking from scamming. It's so bad. It is so bad. Yep, me too, man. Me too, Torup. And back then, in all fairness, right, we were complaining about ICOs and stuff like that, but this is, to me, this is significantly worse because this has more credibility behind it because it has institutions and people are absolute suckers. It's just too bad, right? Because we want to trust. We want to believe. I've said this in the past. We scam ourselves. Now, that doesn't mean that scammers do not get to absolve themselves of personal responsibility. They do not. However, we can recognize that we scam ourselves because when you're going through a situation like this, you can clearly see how in your own mind, you try to rationalize reasons to believe that it's going to be true and it's going to work. Everybody that bought BitConnect thought that they were going to retire. They thought they were going to get $10,000 a week or every month for the rest of their lives by holding this shitcoin. If you think this is any different, you're wrong. And this is going to go very badly. Anyways, good times. Let's continue on with some fun stuff. Bitchat. That's right, guys. Plan B Network. Look, if you don't follow the Plan B Network account, you should. Plan B Network account has tons of resources for Bitcoin. They're a great signal account. Anyways, imagine chatting without internet apps or SIM cards. Just phones talking to each other. Bitchat is censorship-resistant comms for the real world. Chat via Bluetooth. Use Nostr GeoChats. Trigger instant panic wipe. And of course, the link is in the show notes if you guys want to go do that. I do, full disclosure, I did install Bitchat and I turned it on. And unfortunately, there's nobody around me. It's unfortunately kind of useless, but maybe in a terrible scenario, it might be useful. That's right, BitConnect. I know, Roar. You got to sell those shares, man. Well, don't worry. Actually, unless if you're in the States, you can't buy this stuff anyways, unless you have a VPN. The security. Haha. We stopped them. Stop them with a VPN. Okay, guys, you know the deal. Keep bugging you about this. Obviously, I don't make nearly as much noise as somebody like a Nat Brunel or something like that. So we do appreciate all of these bigger accounts that have been banging the drum. I hope they are still banging the drum. These two guys had to report to jail for writing code. Okay? This is nuts. The precedent that this sets is brutal. And then on top of that, as we've learned recently, the DOJ sold $6.3 million worth of their Bitcoin. Let's get these guys out of jail, right? Link is in the show notes. Sign the petition. And if you feel so inclined, donate. All right, guys, that's it for me. That does it for today's episode. Happy Friday. Have a wonderful weekend. And as you guys know, on Monday, 8:30 p.m., myself, Ulrich, and Humble are going to be doing Bitcoin Tonight. And we're going to go through all of the drama. Should be good times. Have a great weekend, guys. Take it easy. Don't get wrecked with the freaking nonsense. Take it easy, Richard. Take it easy, Rourke. Torip, take it easy. Yeah, absolutely right, guys. Get outside. That's what I'm going to go do right now, actually. It's time to go garden. It's good times. All right, take it easy. Peace.